You're listening to the Common Fan Podcast, a Husker football podcast for the common fan, by the common fan.
Welcome back to the Common Fan Podcast. I am TJ Burkle, as always, alongside Geoff in Lincoln. Matty Owens Sr. is traveling for work this week and unable to join us, unfortunately. Friend of the program, Michael Severe, is with us. Michael, I saw you dancing during the intro there. I appreciate that you like our theme song.
Jamming. It is absolutely jamming. You know, I only come usually for one reason. Now I come for two reasons. The first reason, of course, is the Flex by Geoff. But
there you go.
There it is. Yeah. Yep. And then also now the theme song for sure. Yeah.
I love it. Well, and yeah, I think we've only recently we've incorporated having the theme song play as part of our recording process. Yeah. I'm sure as a regular listener, you've heard it many times, of course.
Well, I'm not that guy. So I fast forward.
Nice.
The intros to almost everything. No, I literally do. So in my car, that little button there, I hit that button and it'll go, it goes 10 seconds every time I hit the little button. And so, yeah, I knock out. I usually don't listen to a lot of intros. No offense.
Love it. No,
I'll start listening to it now more.
Love it. Hey, we're going to talk to Michael about the debacle in Minneapolis. We're going to talk about the upcoming Northwestern game. Speaking of game day isn't complete without delicious Nebraska beef. And if you really want to upgrade your spread this season, Oak Barn Beef has got you covered. They ship premium Nebraska-raised beef straight from their family farm to your front door. Steaks, roasts, ground beef, you name it. Order online at oakbarnbeef.com. That's oakbarnbeef.com. And make every tailgate or watch party a little more memorable. Speaking of tailgates, another segue. Don't forget the Common Fan Tailgate is this Saturday for the Northwestern game. It will be in Lot 10 on W Street between 14th and 16th. The Common Fans will be there earlier than anybody else will be there. I promise you, we'll be there early. So if you want to swing on by, we'll be in the northwest corner of the lot. Stop by. We'd love to meet you or say hi to you if we know you already, whatever the case may be. But swing by the Common Fan Tailgate. We'd love to see you. Michael, are you going to come to the Common Fan Tailgate?
So, I do a show before. So we do a pregame show 2.5 hours before. And so I'm trying to picture from where I park, where I have to walk, if I could swing by you guys on the way to the 10th Street Bridge.
I'll send you the map. I'll send you the map.
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture that. I park at the 14th and 14th and Avery garage.
And okay, that might be on the way.
I walk around, I walk down, then I cut through the parking lot of the east side of the stadium, and then I go over to 10th Street Bridge.
You'll be close then, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can't. Yeah, I don't know exactly where that is, but yeah, I'll send you the map.
Food and drink provided. Food and drink provided. If there's anything we can give to you or any sort of incentive to make you come. Food and drink
I will definitely try to do. I usually get there about 3.5 hours before the game, and then walk over and have a chance to get set up for the pregame show. But I'll do my best.
We're gonna have Jeff sleep there just to hold our spot. So it should be fine. Michael, why can't Nebraska fans have nice things?
Well, if you want the real answer, we'll get back to that. But I've always said, and I've said this since I started here. I got here in 2002, got on the radio in 2004. It's all flea kicker. That's used up all the luck that Nebraska had in the flea kicker, and after that, pretty much there was no luck left to win that.
Certainly, this is like in fantasy when you have to wait your turn to get back to the top of the waiver wire. Yeah. Certainly, it's our turn again. Certainly,
I agree. So that's the joke. The real thing is it's about culture. It is. I said this after the game. Their culture beat our culture. Their culture beat Nebraska's culture. And it's a quote I remember from years ago where they were talking. It was a boxing thing, and they were talking about how their culture and what they do and how they do it and why they do it beat this other guy's culture who stayed out late and didn't necessarily prepare like he was supposed to, and all those things in a boxing match. And it's not much different in football. The culture of Minnesota under PJ Fleck has been one thing and one thing only. We are united under whatever our theme, our goal is. Nebraska, so many times it seems like they have so many different goals, so many individual goals, opposed to having one team goal of, and I know it may be silly to some people, but it's rowing the boat. They row the boat, and whatever reason it is and how that serves as a hypnotic thing for his players, but they buy it and they believe it, and they're coming and they want to beat Nebraska more than anything else. They have rivalries with Iowa, I know, and Wisconsin, but they want to beat Nebraska because they look at Nebraska and say, Nebraska thinks they're somebody, and we've been owning them. How are they now favored by 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, whatever? And so it's a culture thing. Nebraska's culture has to get to what the culture is for Iowa, what the culture is for Minnesota. That's what they need to do. And right now they don't have that culture.
Even with that, Michael, sorry, Geoff, I know you, even with that, it feels like things are in a better place with Coach Rhule than they have been in a long time. And he's in year 3. There is, I think, a culture of some kind of culture established for this team. And I will say one thing people, they always want to just throw gasoline on the fire when they're angry. But like when Frost took over for Riley, one thing you can say is Frost teams got more physical. When Rhule took over for Frost, I think they got another level of physical. They played better defense. Some of those things have improved. Whatever the case, and I don't think you're wrong. I don't think anything you said is wrong, Michael, but whatever the case, they should not be getting pushed around against Minnesota the way they did.
Yeah, no, and when I say culture, I'm not even talking about football. I'm not talking about the essence of blocking and tackling. I'm talking about everything else. Before the game, there was very little energy. I know that Coach Rhule said there was, but for people who were down there at the game, there was very little energy from Nebraska's side of the practice field. I'm watching the others because I'm on the Minnesota practice side of the field when we were sitting. And number 1 and number 0, their 2 defensive ends, were doing these 360 reverse dunks on the goalpost. They were having a blast. They were playing around and having fun. They were so loose and filled with energy. Sometimes culture is making sure that you are ready to go when the game starts. Sometimes culture is when you go in that locker room, no matter what's happening, you're going to be better when you come out. You know what Coach Rhule's record is when they're losing at halftime, right? 0-9. They're 0-9.
Really?
They're 0-9. Yeah. And they're 2-3 when tied. They're a winning record when tied or losing. So all of those things are part of culture. It's not about taking a snap and throwing a quick out. It's about the preparation you have of doing that all week. So when it's time to do it during the game, there's no doubt in your mind that the ball is you're going to third step, it's gone. That's all about culture. And I don't know what's going on with Nebraska in terms of that, but when they get to 5 wins, for some reason, all 3 of these years, they go, well, that's it. We got to 5. What's next after this? What's a 6th win? It's frustrating to watch.
I'd prefer it if they would do it at 6 wins instead of 5. I mean, come on, just get us bowl eligible and then just do whatever you want to.
No, Jeff. No, Jeff. We grew up in the 90s. I'd prefer if they did it at 11 or 12 wins. Okay. Never let that go.
Hey, I grew up in the 70s and they were winning then.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Well, I'm glad that you said culture because we talked about it on our text chain during the game, but like we really did play. They know Minnesota knows who they are. They have an identity and they have a way that they want to play the game. Yeah. And we played right into PJ Fleck's hands. I mean, his game plan was just keep it close, grind us out, wear us out. We get tired. And then the second half, they take over after that. And it's exactly what happened. So I'm going to say something that's just completely absurd. I thought I'd never say this while hosting this podcast. So you're going to be shocked when I say this. I'm not going to talk shit about PJ Fleck anymore. I can't do it because this guy owns us. He owns us. I have to give him his respect at this point. He knows how to beat us. He always does. So PJ, if you're listening, I'm humbled. I'm humbled, man. You got us until we can prove you wrong. I'm not speaking another ill word about PJ Fleck. Sorry, TJ.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. You
hate him more than I do, Jeff.
It's too often we make fun of people because we don't understand. And I don't, trust me, I'd be the worst person in that program because every time he comes in with too tight a shirt on or he says something that's cliche or he gives me some sort of Latin phrase, that would turn me off. That's not good for me. But for the guys he's bringing into his culture, it works great. And he does that. And we talked about physicality. So a lot of times these games only come down to a couple plays. So it's 7-6 at halftime. You're not feeling great about yourself. You're not feeling great, but you're getting the ball first. And so you're like, okay, let's go get on the drive and let's get some points, get a lead. So you make Minnesota play differently. They get a nice 12-yard gain. Emmett Johnson, they get a screen pass, and they've got an opportunity on a go route where Dane Key runs past the corner. He's inside the safety, and all Dylan Raiola needs to do is throw the ball to him for a touchdown. Then all of a sudden it's 13-6. And it's 13-7. It's a different feel. You've got energy. They're down now. It's a whole different game. But like he has too many times on passes over 20 yards, he misses them. And now you're punting to them, and you get it down to the 2-yard line. You feel great about that. And then they proceed to line up. And every time they had a third down, they threw it to somebody open. Every time on first and second down, they ran for 3, 4, 5 yards, got to where they're in a good spot, and they just took the game over. But it came down to Dylan having to make a throw to Dane Key, which he's been missing all year, and he failed to make that throw.
This is true.
Yeah. Okay, so, Michael, I watched all of Matt Rhule's press conference.
Yeah.
And I thought he repeatedly took responsibility and repeatedly said it wasn't good enough. But one thing that was frustrating was, he commented on what he wanted to see differently from the assistants. And he thought the game plan was too vanilla on defense. He said that was one thing. And he said something else about offense. And even we talk all the time, Michael, I know you're like a inside and out football guy. You look at stats, you look at data, the X's and O's. Like, we are not those guys, but you can just see on TV, the whole first half, the straight drop back crap is not working. We need to run the ball more. We need to mix in some quicker hitters, whatever it might be. I don't, it's not our job to figure that out. They need to do something different. And it didn't look any different in the second half. So acknowledging that Rhule wasn't passing the buck. I really don't think he was, but you're the head coach. If you don't like how it looks in the middle of the game, say something in the middle of the game, right? Is that overly simplified?
Yeah. I said, I've used this phrase ever since Friday night, but it really was coaching malpractice. There were at least 4 or 5 things that happened in that game that you lean back and you go, that's a coaching issue. Not getting the ball to Emmett Johnson in the first drive, it's a coaching issue. The man's fired up. He's at home. There's no reason in the world for him not to touch the ball. Ja'Cory Barney having 1 target. That's coaching malpractice. By the way, he's only had 6 touches in the last 3 weeks. That's 2 a week. That's ridiculous for the guy who really makes your engine go, right? That's one. What you guys have mentioned over and over again about the way the game plan was designed with thinking to themselves, we can line up here and just block Minnesota's front. And I'll admit, the last 2 weeks for Minnesota, they hadn't had a sack, so maybe you thought that, right? But it didn't take long to realize you couldn't block their front. So I do like the idea of moving the pocket. I love the idea of running the ball more. And in the game, they threw 4 screens. That's it, 4 screens. If you can't block somebody, you're running draws, you're running screens, you're running delays. You're doing. They didn't do that. And then the last one is having. I'm so mad about this. Having Dylan Raiola in the game with 30 seconds left, dropping back to pass, down 3 scores. That's absolute coaching malpractice. What are you thinking? There's no reason. What are you looking for? You're looking for a little positivity on another sack? What do you want? Hoping to get to 10? You want a round number? What the hell was happening? I don't know that. But yeah, there was multiple times in there. And every season, there's going to be a game where you can look back and go, I think the coaches cost him this game. And I think the coaches in many ways cost him this game.
It was frustrating because we said, I think on the show, I said it in writing too. Every Nebraska fan who's been, conscious for as long as we've been in the Big Ten could have told you what PJ wanted to do. It could have told you PJ, I think I texted Jeff, our group of guys, I kept saying, this doesn't feel very good. This feels like we're playing right into PJ's hands. And we were every common fan could have told you exactly what Minnesota's game plan was going to be.
Yep.
And we did not do anything to counter it. And we didn't play complementary football. And I said on the show on Monday, I didn't even think the defense was not great. We missed a lot of tackles. guys were running wide open.
No havoc whatsoever.
But I also I don't put that one on the defense as much.
Mm.
They like the offense's inability to do anything. I think led to the defense wearing down.
I go ahead, Michael.
I'm gonna say I'm with you. Like, so all week I was talking to people about how bad I thought Minnesota was, and this is based off of what Minnesota have been doing and the way they've been playing. You know, their EPA stuff, the way they've been failing to be able to run the ball, the fact they couldn't stop the run, all of those things, right? And every time somebody would send me a text, basically like, "Hey, what do you think about the game?" I would say that I was like, "Look, they're not a good team. Matter of fact, at some points, they're a bad team." But I would write, but it's a house of horrors in Minneapolis, and PJ Fleck knows how to beat Nebraska. In every single text to someone that asked me about the game, I said, they're not good. I don't think their quarterback can throw the ball over 14 yards accurately, but PJ Fleck. So in the end, you knew this, everybody knew this, and still they did not come out and play like they should have wanted to exercise the demons on Minnesota like they did last year against Wisconsin or the year against Iowa. They needed to exercise some demons, and they did not come out and play that way.
Right. Well, you actually brought up Dylan being in at the end of the game, so let's rewind and let's talk about Dylan for a second, because I feel like that's the number one question or takeaway from that game is the 9 sacks and what the hell was going on there. And I was going through comments, which I should never go through the cesspool of Twitter X and go down those comment sections.
It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Villainy, hell yes, it is. Moss Isley Part 4.
But going through there's just arguments about, was it the offensive line's fault? Was it Dylan's fault? Does he not have the pocket presence? Is he holding on to the ball too long? And I saw arguments on both sides, but I'm really curious, Michael, just from a professional standpoint and just watching that game, what was going on there? What was wrong? Is it Dylan? Is it the O-line? Is it both? And why is it a crime to even float the idea of giving Latif a series here and there?
I'm going to say this because I like you, G. I like you. It's a dumb idea.
Okay.
They would love, I think any defensive coordinator would love for you to pull your 5-star quarterback who has thrown in the 70% range, who's thrown for 1,800 yards, who has shown you that he can make plays off of schedule and on schedule, and bring in a freshman who the only thing you've seen from him is to throw the run against Houston Christian and Akron. I think it's a horrible decision. I know a lot of people are asking for it, and I the backup quarterback's always the most popular. The answer to the question about whose fault it was, you said 2 things. I got to give 3 things, right? So is it the offensive line and or just protection? Is it Dylan or is it play calling? And a good line on Big Red Wrap-Up last night on Tuesday night was from Jay Moore, who said a third, right? It's yes. Offensive line making some poor choices, not communicating. It's the running back not being where he's supposed to be. It is simply getting overpowered at times. All of those things. It's also Dylan holding onto the ball. It's Dylan putting himself in a bad position. You've got a play where they're just essentially rushing 3. They're running a wheel route to Mosey down the sideline, and Dylan, who is standing there with no pressure at that point, all of a sudden feels phantom pressure, decides he's going to have to move up in the pocket instead of staying with the play and waiting for that running back to come open on the wheel. That's a sack. So whose fault is that? That's Dylan putting himself in a bad spot and getting sacked. When Emmett got ran over, Emmett's got to stay in there. He's got to be able to make that play. When you've got a guard who comes in the game who hasn't played, who decides that he is going to help on the tackle when he's supposed to be staying at home, and he opens up this lane, that's on the offensive line. That's on a guy who hasn't been playing it. So there's blame going around, but in the end, it's a team. Everybody is to blame. The play calling, the preparation for the week, the communication, having guys ready when they're coming off the bench, not getting a stupid targeting penalty and losing your left tackle. All of those things are to blame on why this game happened. This wasn't on one man. It wasn't on one group of players. It wasn't on one side of the ball. This was on the entire team, including the defense, who couldn't get any kind of pressure against that quarterback and could not make plays on third down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of those things.
You're totally right, Michael. Sticking with Dylan for 1 second. One thing you said, I thought was really intriguing, about, he missed Dane Key like he has way too many times this year. And I feel like, like you said, the backup quarterback's always the most popular guy, and Dylan's taken his lumps. The guy's been a warrior. He doesn't make excuses. He takes responsibility. He's made some great plays. But what you need, Drake Lindsay had one opportunity to throw the ball in the end zone.
Yep.
And he fit it in perfectly between two Nebraska defenders for a touchdown.
He did.
Like, your 5-star quarterback, I can think of at least twice in the Minnesota game alone where Dylan missed Dane Key for what would have been a touchdown. That opening drive, he missed him. And it would have been a tight window, but like, is that something that can get better? I mean, I think, wasn't it Mike Leach that said you can't, and obviously the kid can throw, but like the accuracy piece, or, Husker fans could be forgiven if they're frustrated and annoyed with constantly hearing about how he can make all the throws and he can diagnose coverages at the line and he can do all these things. And he probably does a lot more than common fans even realize, in his defense.
Yeah.
But the flip side is, like, he's got to make those throws. Like, that's there was a lot that went wrong against Minnesota, but like, those are game-changing throws.
I have said this all week long. Like, I played quarterback. I wasn't great. We were a running team. We won 4 games in my freshman, sophomore, junior year. We were bad. Okay. But what I truly believe in is fundamentals, reps, and practice, right? I really believe in it. You can get better. There's something wrong with his deep ball. And my theory is you can't get the nose down on the ball. That's his problem for whatever reason. Now, that goes back to a couple things. One, it's your form. I mean, pure throwing form, going over the top, but it's also your legs. Your legs are a huge part of throwing. A great example of what legs mean to you is pitching. You watch some of the greatest pitchers of all time, you see those big ass thighs, right? And that's a big reason why they can throw. It's also the flexibility of being able to get a long stride. He doesn't necessarily have great footwork when he's standing in the pocket. He's actually got better footwork when he's leaving the pocket. When he's on the run, he does a much better job of doing everything right fundamentally than he does when he's standing in the pocket. So he needs to, and they need to work on him just simply taking a trash can. We all did this drill if we were in high school or middle school, but a trash can in the corner in the end zone, and you throw the ball up and the ball's got to go in. You got to drop it in the bucket. Drop it in the bucket. Do it over and over. I threw probably 1,000 of those things, 1,000 of them, to try to get better at it. He's got to do that. He's got to get the nose of the ball down somehow. Whatever the problem is, his quarterback coach, his offensive coordinator, his private coach, his dad, his mama, I don't care who it is. They need to work on him figuring out how to get the nose of the ball down and being better on 14-plus yard throws, which he was 1 of 5 on, 2 of which should have been touchdowns. He was 1 of 5 on those throws. He's got to get better on those throws. And it's about fundamentals. It's not about, maybe it's a little in his head, maybe, but it's about fundamentals. And his fundamentals need to be better on those throws.
Yeah. Agreed. And let me make this abundantly clear, by the way. I'm not campaigning for the guy to lose his job. I don't want to take any food off anybody's table.
A lot of people are campaigning. I know. There's a lot of Latifs out there who want to see him play, and I get it, and I understand it, and I've been there. I'm sitting there on Sunday watching the Saints play the Bears thinking, Tyler Shuck might be able to come in here. Why not? Let's try him and see what happens. So I get the idea. I'm just telling you that turning it to the freshman with no injury to your starting quarterback and saying, go in there and take on Big Ten competition, not Houston Christian, not Akron, is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Could be worse. Yeah, you're right. Well, let's put Minnesota in the rear view for Pete's sake. Guys.
Yeah.
We got Northwestern. TJ, do you have anything else you want to add about Minnesota? Anything like that? Okay.
No, I'm going to be angry about this for at least a decade, but go ahead, Jeff.
Screw Minnesota. Screw Minnesota because they charge you as a media member to park. $15. I mean, I'm driving my ass all the way up there to cover their game, and they're charging me $15 to park.
Hey, did they give you any food or anything like that? I'm always curious about
And it wasn't very good. They had this
Okay.
like, I wanna say some sort of pulled chicken dish that was horrible. Now, I will say they had some sausage, some spicy sausage that was good. I enjoyed the
Okay.
sausage, but in general, it wasn't worth $15. What are you doing?
Yeah.
$15 for parking. I hope you took a couple sausages for the road.
I ate 3 of them, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
I had
nice,
3 of
nice.
I had 3 sausages.
Yeah.
And an extra cookie. I took an extra cookie for the next morning.
There you go.
Breakfast.
Yes.
Well, TJ mentioned Rhule in the press conference. Troy Dannon had some interesting comments too. There was one that kind of jumped out to me. And Husker fans, we are who we are. We want to win, and we want to win now. And he made some interesting comments, just alluding to Husker fans and the program as a whole has been in a rebuild for the last 15 years. But Matt Rhule is only in the 3rd year of his rebuild. So he's basically alluding, let's be patient, let this play out, get to where we need to be. It's going to take some time. Having said that, and I do agree with that, with you probably know where I'm going with this, the way Indiana has
I know.
turned around a program from the bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten to, in 1 year, becoming great, and in their 2nd year, becoming arguably a college football powerhouse now, taking off some of the big dogs.
Yep.
Does that argument that be patient still hold water in this day of college football, or are we entering a new era where, like, I could understand if it was like, I don't know, maybe Tennessee went from number 10 to number 2 in the country and turned things around in a year. But we're talking about a team that sucked and bad. And now they're in the top, what are they, top 2 in the country now?
Yeah.
Does that argument still hold water? You gotta wait these things out, or can programs now start to expect to flip things a lot quicker?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, let me go. I've said that same thing that Dannon has said multiple times. Matter of fact, I tweeted this out on I think it was Sunday. I said the comments in Sam McEwen's thread were interesting because it's only year 3 of Matt Rhule, but for this, it's 10 to 15 years for fans. So I completely understand that, and I talk about that all the time. And by the way, I got just ripped for saying it was only year 3. I was just meaning that, I didn't mean that only year 3. But anyway, in terms of when you're talking about turning things around, the bell curve idea, right? In school, that's how a lot of the teachers would do, one side really bad, a few people really good, and everybody's kind of in the middle.
Mhm.
That into that bell curve over there, it's an anomaly.
Okay, that's the word I was going to use. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's an anomaly. It's having a great James Madison program with a bunch of young players, taking a bunch of them over, bringing them to Indiana, being a good coach too. Don't get me wrong. I love their offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan. Not that Mike Shanahan. I like their team. I like a lot of things they're doing, and being able to bring in really good winning players, and not just from James Madison. He brought in players that had been all MAC players or all Sun Belt players or whatever else. So he's done a great job. But that really is an anomaly. The majority of coaches, if they're going to succeed, do take 2 or 3 years. I have actually a running list I have of coaches that were hired in 21, 22, 23 that kind of show where they are. About a third of them get fired within the first 3 years. About a third of them get to the point where you could say they're bowl teams. And another third of them, maybe exceed better than what you thought they would be based off of where they take over. It's about the program. It's about the coaching staff. And it's about maybe who you can bring in. And Matt Rhule couldn't bring anybody in because he came from Carolina. So he certainly didn't have that. Were there things that happened in year 1 that were extremely concerning that I didn't see from Cignetti's teams? Hell yeah. I mean, late game play calling was horrible in year 1. I thought last year you had it happen a couple times as well. And I thought this game plan they had against Minnesota. So that's all stuff that you don't see from Cignetti's teams a lot of times. But outside of Cignetti, who's your other guy? Who's your other person you're pointing to that's saying, did this incredible turnaround and maintained it?
Mhm.
Who's the other guy?
You think about Deion Sanders, but then that fell off after.
And even Deion Sanders,
Don't you dare, Jeff. Don't you dare, Jeff.
even Deion Sanders, you go back and you look who they beat in year 2, right? And then look who they lost to. They lost to the good teams they played. They had a weaker schedule in the Big 12 that year, and great job, But still, if you look at the consistency, obviously it's not there. It does take a while. Now, I said earlier about Matt Rhule, being 0-9, trailing at halftime, 2-3 when tied. If you go back and look, the third year at Baylor, it got much better in those same situations for him. And even the fourth year at Temple, his last year there. So he has kind of gotten over that as he's gone along. Hopefully the back half of this season, if they are trailing for whatever reason, they can flip that and they can turn those around. So, but I still believe they're in a good place. As bad as it was in Minneapolis, as sucky as that was, as much dookie as we had to watch on the field for that, I still believe they're in a good place. And I think that they can go out, you beat Northwestern, you take care of business. It's simple. You slow down their run game on first down. You intercept the ball when Preston Stone throws you the ball because he's going to throw you the ball. And you run the ball and you win on special teams, which they've been doing. You beat Northwestern, you leave there, you come, you play USC and you see what happens. It gets an incredible offense. But I don't think it's over by any means. I just think that they had a bad game, and you have bad games.
Yeah, true.
So I think, though, Michael, I do think it's interesting. I mean, we see it in social media. We see it on the comments on our episodes.
Sure.
There seems to be like this cross-section of reactions from Husker fans. Everything from complete and total meltdown to, hey, most of us were predicting 8-4. That's still very much on the table, blah, 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 right? I want to read you. We got a Twitter DM from a guy who listens, huge Husker fan. And this was about the Northwestern game. He said, I'm not even going to watch the game. First time ever. I'll see the score afterwards. If it's a W, I'll watch. I'm so pissed right now at this team and coaching staff. Friday was a game changer for me. I do think that sentiment is prevalent among at least some of the fan base.
Sure.
How much does Matt Rhule need to win the Northwestern game? And what does he need to do between now and the end of the season to prove that things are still on track? And by that, I mean, like, I think coming into the year, it felt like, okay, year one was transition year. Year two, yeah, they left a win or two on the table, but they still made a bowl game. Year three, we were hoping for the year three leap, but at the very least, everybody wanted to see it get better.
Yeah.
So I guess two questions. One, how bad does he need to win this Northwestern game? And two, what does it need to look like? He's not going to be, even if they go 5-7, he's not getting fired. But, depending on the warmth of his, we're talking about what the warmth of his seat will or won't be by the end of the season. What does he need to do for the rest of the year?
Well, it's incredibly important for Saturday. I mean,
yeah,
the worst thing that could possibly happen on Saturday is first drive, Nebraska decides they're going to drop back the pass, and he gets sacked, and then the booing is going to be crazy. Yeah. Trailing to Northwestern in the first half, again, the booing is going to be crazy. It's incredibly important to perform well. I think somebody asked me on Sunday morning, what's your record over the last 5? And I said, tell me how they play against Northwestern. Because if they play well against Northwestern, I feel like they've turned things around. I think they could be 4-1 to end the season. I really do. I mean, what game in there outside of USC with that incredible offense are you really afraid of? Is it going to UCLA? Is it going to Penn State, which is falling apart? Is it Iowa? I mean, what is it? So tell me how they play against Northwestern. That's why that game is so incredibly important. By the way, I want to go back and I said, give me another coach. I went back to my list. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. There's another example of a guy who came in and after the first year completely turned it around. And again, now this year, big upset this past weekend. So that is another guy you could put on the list. And Brent Key, you kind of can do that with Georgia Tech because of some of the upsets he's had over quality teams. But it's incredibly important. If they, for whatever reason, don't play well against Northwestern, God forbid they lose, then anything is on the table. I said to Damon last on a Big Red Wrap-Up, nothing would shock me. If they went 1-4, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked. If they went 5-0, I'd be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. Everything's on the table right now.
Yeah. Speaking of Northwestern, I know you're on a time constraint here, Michael, okay. So I'm going to get straight to the point here.
Okay.
I know Jack about Northwestern.
Okay.
No shocker.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have the guests on, TJ, because they tell us about these things. That's why we have them.
Yeah.
What are we looking to expect from Northwestern this weekend? What do we need to watch out for? What can we take advantage of? What are we looking at this weekend?
Only one team in the Big Ten runs the ball more than they do. You want to guess who it is? Anybody? Who has more
Minnesota.
rushing attempts? Definitely not Minnesota. Rushing attempts.
Iowa.
It's actually Indiana.
Hmm.
Indiana, number one rushing attempts in the Big Ten. And then it's Northwestern. So they run, and they have a kind of a three-headed attack. Two main guys who are both quality running backs. The third had one explosive play. We had a 94-yard run, the biggest play of the season for them. And then they have a fullback. They have this boy. He is an old-fashioned 6'3", 240-pound white boy. He's good. I like him. When he lines up, they're running behind him. You got to know where it's going. So then they have Preston Stone, who's the quarterback, and Preston Stone had a lot of success really now going back almost 3 years at SMU, and then came back and had some injuries, ended up losing his job, and he transfers to Northwestern. And he's fairly mobile. He can get out of the pocket. He's got a bunch of sack yards, but still he can run the ball a little bit. He can get a first down for you. But like I said, he is incredibly prone to throwing interceptions. 3 times against Purdue, he threw the ball right to them, and they dropped it. Especially outside the numbers. Whatever reason for him, he doesn't throw the ball accurately outside the numbers. Their defense, very physical, but truly a anomaly when you talk about the numbers. So they give up about, I don't know, they're 9th or 10th in the most yards giving up, right, in the Big Ten, but they're like 4th in points. So you'd say to yourself, well, obviously the reason is because maybe they're forcing turnovers. No, they're not forcing turnovers. They're -3 when it comes to turnover margin. You know what it is? Red zone defense. They're really good in the red zone. Remind you of maybe an Iowa that they'll let you drive, but they'll stop you in the red zone. And so,
thankfully, not to cut you off, thankfully Nebraska's so good in the red zone. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Which they obviously wasn't very good against Minnesota. The 3 weeks before that, they had kind of improved a little bit. You're right. But yeah, that's it. They're going to give up yards to you, the 20s to the 20s, and then they're going to say, you got to score on us, or we're going to make it a field goal. And that's critical. Their special teams is quality. They've not given up any long kickoff returns. They've given up 6 total punt returns for 9 yards. Very good at that as well. They're a solid ball club. Do I think they're great? Look at how they played in their losses and how they played in their wins. Look how they played against winning teams. Look how they played against non-winning teams. They're dominating non-winning teams. The 2 losses they have are against winning teams. Nebraska's a winning team.
Yep.
I think Nebraska wins the game, but Northwestern certainly will make it a physical fight for them throughout all 60 minutes of the game.
I mean, if the Huskers don't come out with something to prove on Saturday, we've got major problems.
Yeah, bigger problem than that.
Yeah.
My number one key in the game, and I always have themes for my keys. I was in the Army, and when you're in the Army and you're going through bayonet training, you fix bayonets, you put the big old knife on your weapon, you're out of ammo. All you got left is your weapon, and a big old knife. And the line they have is, what makes the grass grow? And you say blood makes the grass grow, drill sergeant, because you're about to go into war. Nebraska needs to make the grass grow on Saturday.
Yeah, there you go.
The grass needs to grow. You need to punch them in the face. You need to punch them in the mouth. You need to come out. You got to be physical, and you got to take it to them. And I'm not saying they're going to quit, but take it to them, build a lead, and then do what you can do. But you need to make the grass grow on Saturday.
Right. Like you said, Minnesota had a plan when we played against them, but everybody's got a plan, like you said, until you punch them in the mouth.
Until you punch them in the mouth. Exactly.
That's what you got to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
You're okay.
Michael.
You're okay.
All right. Sorry. Here, Charlotte wanted to say hi.
Hey! Has she been taking a nap? What time is it? Hello?
She's not feeling well today. No.
Darn it. Darn.
You know what made me feel better? Gummies.
Yeah.
Gummies.
Not those kind of gummies. I wouldn't talk about that. I meant like regular,
Are you sure?
delicious Marlboro gummies. That's what I like.
Well, if you have time for one more, Michael, I was intrigued by what you said about 3 years into a coaching tenure. There's kind of a third.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, obviously some of it depends on how we see them respond and what kind of coaching job Matt Rhule does the last 5 games. But what do you think? What can be his ceiling at Nebraska? I mean, I think everyone is willing to buy into, everyone will listen to Troy Dannon's stuff about, we're in year 3 of a rebuild. Of course, Husker fans are sick of it, but whatever. But it is getting old for Husker fans. They want to believe we can not just be relevant again, but compete for championships again. Is Matt Rhule the guy that can do that?
Well, in today's era of college football, if you win 10 or 11 games in the Big Ten, and certainly you can contend for a national championship, right? Because you can get into the playoff. That's all it is. It's getting into the playoff, and then Ohio State had 2 losses. Everybody thought they were down and out. They ended up winning it, So I said back in 2005, I didn't think Nebraska, under that particular method of playing college football, would ever win a national championship again. I just didn't think they would. But now when you got 14 going on 16, maybe 18 at some point teams going into the playoff, then sure, I think that I know as a coach, he can win 10 or 11 games at Nebraska in a season. So if he can do that, I don't know what happens in the Big Ten championship game, but you get into the playoff and it's all about matchups then.
Yeah.
Who do you end up with? Who are you ending up? Are you at home? Are you matching up against an Indiana team who hadn't played anybody all year? Or are you matching up against a team like, a team that comes out of the Big 12 that really is not that physical, but they ended up surviving the Big 12? I mean, at that point, it's all matchups. His ceiling is getting the team to the college football playoff, and then all bets are off after that.
Yeah.
All right. Love it.
I'm the same way, Tej, just if you want my 2 cents. We did our pre-season pick'ems at the beginning of the season, and I had the Michigan loss penciled in. I had this Minnesota game as a loss as well.
I had the Minnesota game as a loss, yeah.
So it sucks the way that we lost, just how bad it looked for optics.
Yeah.
But I had it as a loss. I still feel that we're on track. Penn State, I still think, is the other loss for us. But I think all the other games are within arm's length of winning. So don't panic, Husker fans. Sky's not falling yet.
Yeah.
A lot of ball left to be played. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, I had Minnesota with you guys, Minnesota, USC, and Penn State as my loss. I missed the Michigan one, but I think the Penn State one is definitely out there to be taken. So
yeah, it's up for grabs. That's for sure.
Yep.
Love it. Thanks to friend of the program, Michael Severe. Great to see you as always, Michael. We'll hope to see you on Saturday. We'll hope to see all Common fans at the tailgate on Saturday. Hey, Common fans, be kind to each other. We'll be back at you after the Northwestern game. In the meantime, as always, GBR for life.
Holy moly! Man, woman, and child did that. Put them in the aisles.
And Nebraska takes the lead. And the national championship is Nebraska.